Lesson 6. The distance between two rational numbers is what we're going to be talking about. Now, how are we going to do that? So let's look at the objective. Today I will demonstrate my ability to utilize the definition of subtraction to justify the distance formula through class discussion. Let's go ahead and see what we need to work on. We're going to use a number line and we're going to figure out the distance between 0 and 8. So I'm going to first put my number line up here. Okay, so I just drew a line, put an arrow on both ends. Now I'm going to go back and label it. So I'm going to start here with 0. Then I go to -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. I always like to go past the number I'm dealing with, and then I'm going to add over here 3 numbers. I have 1, 2, and 3. So I have 0, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to go down, 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 down. Okay, keep going down to -8. Well, the distance between 0, remember, we already should know that this is the absolute value. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here is the absolute value. How far is -8 from 0? Well, we went 8 spots, so it's 8 units from 0. Okay, how did we do that? We just figured it out, right? Well, let's look at this next one. Same type of deal, but oh goodness, we have those blasted fractions. They're my favorite. Not really. Okay, I know you guys struggle with them. So let's see how this works. I got to start at 0 again, so I have 0, 1, 2, +1, +2. Here I'm going to have a -1, -2, -3. Okay, because I'm dealing with halves, I'm going to go ahead and mark those in here too. So this is -1/2. This is -1/2. Okay, well, -1 1/2 rather. Let's make sure we put that right. So this is -1 1/2. And this is a -2 1/2. Now, I want to know what is the distance between -2 and -1/2. What is this distance right here? Okay, well, I can look. The distance is only 1/2. Okay, that's all we're doing here. Well, how are we doing that? Well, I could do it a couple different ways. I could go -2 minus and -1/2. Isn't that all I'm really doing? Okay, when I found that. But also, because I'm using the absolute value, because we're talking about the distance. Okay, the distance, so I want to know how far, so I'm going to use my absolute value signs. Okay, and if I would go -2 minus a -1/2, I would get to 1/2. Now let's see how, if we're just going to use the equation, how the equation just works. The equation simply is, I have two numbers, I'm going to use them P and Q. If I go P minus Q, and I take the absolute value, that's going to be the distance formula that I'm going to use in this situation. So I want to know the distance between -3 and 2. So I bring my formula down, the absolute value of P minus Q. I'm going to plug in my values. P is going to be my first value listed. So I have -3 minus 2. Okay. Remember from our lesson yesterday, when we're subtracting, I want you to add the opposite. So I have -3 plus the opposite of 2 is negative. So I have -2. Okay. So -3 plus 2 is a -5. Okay. Now, what is the absolute value of -5? Well, how far from 0 is -5? if I was to put my number line up here, I would figure it out pretty quickly that it is 5 units from 0. So, and if I draw out my number line, let's see how this equation works. So let's put my number line up here. Okay, better get the right tool. So put my number line up, and let's see if this equation really holds true. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and label it. I'm going to put 0 kind of, let's undo that. Okay, I'm going to put 0 kind of in the middle here. So I put 0 right here, right? And I'm going to go -1, -2, and -3. And then over here, I'm going to go 1, 2. Now, I have -3 and +2. Well, how far are they away? So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here. It's 5. They're 5 units away. How did I do that? I simply went my number minus the second number and found the absolute value. All right? Now, a couple things to remember when we do this. Okay? Oh, I have a couple more problems for you. So let's look and see, let's put this into perspective on what we're doing. A hiker starts hiking at the beginning of a trail at a point which is 200 feet below sea level. So that's going to be a -200. Okay. He hikes to a location on a trail that is 580 feet above sea level. So above sea level is positive, and we know that by being able to read it, and stops for lunch. How far did he have to hike before he stopped for lunch is what I want to know. All right? Well, let's use our formula. So I have P minus Q, and I'm going to take that absolute value. So I have a -200 minus 580, and I'm going to take the absolute value of that. So I know from before that I'm going to add the opposite because I'm here. I do that by keep it, change it, or simply, anytime I see it, subtraction, add the opposite is what it means. So -200 plus the opposite of 580 is a -580. And I'm going to bring my absolute value symbols down. Do not forget them. Now I have a -200 plus a -580. Well, when I add those together, I get 780, a -780. And I take the absolute value of that. How far is a -780 from 0? It should just be 780. Okay? And so he hiked 780 feet from when he started the trail, okay, which was 280 feet below sea level, to when he stopped for lunch, which is 580 feet above sea level. All right? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. All right? So it kind of puts it in perspective a little bit. Now, I would need you guys to make sure you do your whisk form, okay, and bring a really good question to class. And remember, a couple things to remember is this equation right here, okay, or not an equation, but this formula. This is our distance formula we're going to be using for now. Okay? So, and we're talking about absolute value. This is using everything that we've already been talking about in class. All right? Get your whisk form filled out and then bring it to class, and I'll see everyone in class.